Hey there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaded Path, and today I have a brand new project for you, and it's something a little bit different than what I normally do. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to make a beautiful brooch just in time for the holidays. Now, if you're not a brooch person, that's totally okay, because I personally am not. But what I found that I like to do with this is I like to put them on my purse, or I can even turn it and make a pendant into it. So there are some options. So like I said, if you're not a brooch person, be sure still to continue to watch, because you'll see how to turn your piece into a pendant if you'd so like. So to do the project today, you're going to need a few things. The first thing that you're going to need is a 25 by 18 millimeter oval cabochon, and I'm going to be showing you the one that I'm doing is actually a personalized cabochon. I didn't necessarily have a cabochon that I wanted to use, so I did my own version, and you'll see how to do that. You're going to need 6 SS34 flat back Swarovski crystals. Now with the SS34, that's about an 8 millimeter flat back bead. You're going to need 3 inches of 2 millimeter cup chain. Now if you don't have cup chain, you can substitute a size 8 seed bead for the cup chain. You're also going to need 2 grams of a size 15 seed bead, 2 grams of a size 11 seed bead, a piece of beading foundation that is 3 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall, and then you're also going to need a piece of the ultra suede, again that's 3 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. I'm going to be using a 1-inch pin back. It doesn't matter if you use silver or gold, because of course it's going to be, you know, on the back of your piece, so you don't need to worry about that. You're also going to need your E6000 glue, as well as optional zap gel glue. I'm going to be using a size 12 beading needle with my Dura Thread. Now if you don't have Dura Thread, you can use Namo, you can use 1G, you can use Fireline, whatever you'd like. I just really like to use the Dura Thread for this project. The only other thing I could think of you might need is a good pair of sharp scissors. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is the brooch that I'm going to show you how to make today. You can see my pin back here on the back and my pieces here on the front. Here is another version that I've done, and again it's got a pin back, and then you can see this one here. You can see the difference. I didn't really have a 2 millimeter cup chain that I liked with this one, so I used a size 8 seed bead, so no fear. Now, if you don't like it into a brooch, like I said, you can make it into a pendant or even an ornament. To me, this would make a really pretty ornament for somebody's custom tree. This is actually going to be a pendant for my mom. She's obsessed with the red chucks, so that is what we are going to make today. So pretty much it's the same whether you're making a brooch or into a pendant. You just have to lay out your cabochon the correct way, because if I wanted it to be a pin, it would look like this, and so I needed this one again to be a pendant. So I have laid this out here. One of my very good friends loves Halloween, and if you are watching this on the day this video releases, then it's Halloween, so happy Halloween. So I am making this as a surprise for her, and you can see that I have a fun little Halloween themed cabochon. Now that cabochon started out as just a plain piece of oval glass like this. Now what I did was I went on Etsy and I searched for 25 by 18 digital clip art, and I found some great clip arts to use on Etsy that you could purchase and use for you know, your own personal pieces. So that's what I did, and basically I am using this product called Diamond Glaze. And you take your diamond glaze and you put it on the back of your piece, and then you put your glass cabochon down over that and you let it dry. So I have put some on this one, and I wanted to show you as well. I've done this one, and this one you can see I had a lot of excess. But it's really easy once it's glued and it's dry. Then you just take and you can trim around it. Now, if it's not 100% dry, or even if it is 100% dry, you may work around your piece and realize that you might have some glue here on the outside of your piece. So you can actually take your fingernail and scrape that off, or you can use just a regular acetone polish remover and a little like makeup cotton swab, and you can get that off. You just have to be careful not to use much whatsoever. And you just take and you rub it to get any excess glue that you have off. And once it gets, you know, the acetone kind of soaks into it, it's much easier if you have to scrape any of your glue off. But this works too if you happen to put a fingerprint on the top of it with the glue. So that again works really well. But you will just clean your piece off, and then you're ready to start working with it like I have already glued this one on. Now with this one, I used my E6000 glue to glue it on to a piece of beading foundation that was 3 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. Now you'll also see I have it marked off my centers, and I've done that with just a cloth marker. And I did the blue again because it's on white and I want to be able to see what I'm doing. So now, next step. This is dry and I'm ready to go. This is where your cup chain is going to come in. Now with the cup chain, I have cut a 3-inch piece, and we want to lay it down onto the curve of your cabochon like this. Now I've already gone ahead and I have threaded my needle with 2 yards of thread, and I have put a knot in the very end of it, and I have trimmed the thread. So I'm ready to get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come up through the beading foundation, and I want to come up through it right here in between the cup chain. So it's close to the cabochon and it's right there at that little bar. So if you look, the 2 cups of cup chain are connected with a little bar of metal. So what we want to do is we want to grab a hold, and basically our thread is going to be laying over that bar. So we want to take and go to the other side of that cup chain, and I want to get really close to it at that same little spot, and then I'm going to pull. Now you see mine, it just popped out. To me, this hardest one is this first one. Once you get your cup chain in that first one, everything else is golden. And so sometimes you can see I just kind of grab it here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it. There we go. Okay, just like that. So now you can see it's attached and it's not going to come off of that first one. So now I will just take my needle and I'm going to go to the next section here between my 2 pieces of cup chain, and I'm going to come up through the foundation right next to the cabochon there. Pull this on through, and then I'll take my needle and I'll go down through the foundation just on the other side there of that bar. And I'll pull that. Now it's important that you keep it flat. The first couple that you do, they'll kind of want to try and almost ride up on the side of your cabochon, but just keep it flat. And as you can see, what we're going to do is we are going to work to go between each of my pieces of chain. What in the world is this thing doing? There we go. So I'm going to continue just going in between each of those little pieces of cup chain until I'm all the way back around to where I started. Okay, so as you can see, I have the cup chain put all around my piece. Now right here, the two pieces, there's basically just enough room there that another bar would be there. That's where we begin and end, and that's okay to leave it like that. You also can see, let me see if I can find it here. You can see down here where these get really close together right here. That is where I had an extra little cup that I just kind of stuck in there at the very end. Instead of being, you know, separated like this, they're more together. And once you get your other beads on, you'll never notice that little separation. Now, if this bothers you, or if these little cups move here at the end, you can take and use just a little bit of your Zap gel glue and put under those, and it will hold them in place. But I've not had any trouble with that. Now, we're ready at this point to put our 8mm flat backs on the piece. And basically what we want to do is we want to put them and line them up. You see I've got my center line here, and I want to line them up, and I want to glue them in a cluster as close as I can get them together like this on each side. What we're doing right now is going to be these side pieces here. And you can see here where I've done this one. So that is what we're going to be doing. Now to do this, because I want it to dry a little bit quicker, I am going to use that Zap gel glue, or you can use your E6000 glue. Either one of these will work. The Zap gel glue, only use just a very, very small bit of it. And as the old commercial used to say, a little dab will do ya. It doesn't take much to, oh, that's way too much. See, right, whoop, there we go, right there. That's just enough. And I'm gonna glue myself together now. Wonderful. Okay, so I gotta get it on there and see it. I've got it lined up there. Okay, and then I put more. And I kind of look at it and make sure I've got it centered good. And then I got one more here. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold these down for just a second, and then I'm going to glue them here to this other side and give them just a few minutes to dry. Okay, so now that those are dry, I am ready to go in and add my size 15 seed beads. The size 15 seed beads will go around these 8mm flat backs. So they'll go here, and then they'll go around here. So you want to take the needle and you want to come up through the foundation right next to your cup chain, but then right there at the flat backs as well. So you want to come in kind of close there, and I could actually probably get a little closer. There we go. Okay, now we pick up 2 15s at a time while we can. So 2 15s, let those drop down. And then take your needle and go down through the foundation right after the second 15 you added. Pull it through. And then you're going to take your needle and you're going to come up through the foundation again right before that first black one that you added. And then I'm going to go through the 2 15s that I just added. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to hold those and I'm going to pull the thread, and as I pull the thread, I'm going to pull the thread straight out the way that they're exiting the bead. I know that sounds elementary, but so many people pull in another direction and then are so confused as to why their beadwork is loose. So I've got 2 more of my black beads on there. Again, I'm going to go down through the foundation right after the second bead that I added there. Pull it through. Okay, now this time I'm going to count back 3. So I'm going to count back 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come up through the foundation right before that 3rd bead. Just like that. Okay. So it's between the 1st and the 2nd bead is, I guess, the best way to say it. And now I'm going to go through those 3 beads. Whoop. Okay, and again, we're going to continue to pick up 2 at a time while we can. If you get to one of the little joints here and you can only pick up 1 bead, that's fine. So now I'm going to go down through the foundation right after the 2 beads that I just added. Count back 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to come up between or right in front of that 3rd bead. And then I'm going to go through the 3 beads. And what you want to do is you want to continue to add your 15s around the outer edge of your flatbacks. Alright, so I've gone all the way around adding those black 15s, and you can see I still have a space left here. So depending upon how big your space is, you can put 1 to 2 little beads in that space. So what you'll need to do is just use your needle and come up through the foundation, and I just test it before I actually go ahead and put the needle down through the foundation. I test it to see if those 2 beads or however many beads will lay down into that little hole for me, so it's not just a white hole there. And so those 2 beads are going to lay just fine. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side with my 15s, outlining this in black and putting these 2 beads in. Now it's completely okay if I take my needle and I bring it through my foundation all the way to this side, because when I pull it through, you can see that my thread is going across the back here, but all of this will be covered up, so that's completely fine. So just continue to outline with your 15s. Okay, once you have done the outline with your 15s, you're now ready to outline with 11s. Now, this will be an outline that will go all the way around your piece, and we're going to do it just like we added the black. You can see here it's going to go around the cup chain, then around your where you just added the 15s. So if you used 8s, you can see here they'll go around their 8s and then around the outer edge. So I've brought my needle up through the foundation right near the cup chain and the last 15 that I added. So we're going to use this or add these just like we added the 15s. We pick up 2 11s, we let these drop, go down through the foundation right after the second bead, pull it through, and now come up through the foundation right before the first bead, through the 2 you just added, and now you're ready to continue adding those 11s. So 2 11s, let the beads drop down just like this, go down through the foundation right after the second bead you just added, count back 3 beads, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to come up between my first and second bead here that I started with. Okay. And then I'm going to go through the 3 beads that I just counted back. And I'm going to continue to do this all the way around my piece until I'm back to where I started. Once you've stitched all the way around, this is what your piece will look like. So you want to exit out of the back of your foundation, and we need to add some half hitch knots. So to do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go under a few of my threads here. I'm going to leave a little loop and then stick my needle through the loop. And I'm going to put a couple of these knots into the thread in the foundation. Now, once I have that complete, I can then trim off the thread. Now you need a nice pair of sharp scissors for this, because basically what we want to do is we are going to trim around the piece. Now, when you trim around it, you want to be careful not to cut any of the threads here along the outer edges. So what I like to do is I like to kind of start and cut out the basic shape of my piece, and then I'll go back and I will cut in any of the little, you know, spots that I need to cut through. Okay, so you can see there now that I did not cut any of my threads, which is a good thing. So now I'm going to come in and trim these little spots here to the inside where I don't want to see that white. So see, I've got that trimmed good. So you just continue to trim until you can barely see any white here around your piece. Okay, so once you get your piece cut out, this is what it should look like. So we're ready to put the pin back itself on. And if you look, your pin back has, it could have 2 to 3 holes depending on the pin back you've got. But you want to pay attention to how it actually clasps, like which side. So what I'm going to do is we want to put a good bit of our E6000 glue here on the pin back. So you can see there, I've got a good bit of that glue. So now I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to press the pin back in place and get it where I want it. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to let that be drying for just a few minutes. Now, while that is drying, I'm going to use my piece of Ultra Suede here, and I want to show you how to actually put the Ultra Suede on since you've got your pin back on there. So let me get my Ultra Suede cut and I will show you. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to lay this, which is our Ultra Suede, over the back of the piece. You want it kind of centered. And you want to be able to see, when I hold it down, I want to be able to feel and see those ends. So I'm going to take and I am going to, on one end, I'm going to put just a little tiny mark there. Okay, so I can see my mark there. So I'm going to fold my piece in half. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to make a small cut. Okay, so see, you can see it's not a very big cut, and I probably want just a little bit bigger than that one. There we go. Okay, so that's about the size cut that I want. So now I can set this here, and then I can pretty much feel right here on the other side. Okay, so now same thing. I'm going to fold it and I'm going to make that cut. You want your cuts to be both about the same size. Okay, so this is not dry yet, but it's okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my pen in one side, and when you slide it in here, make sure to slide it all the way down. Sometimes the pen has a little catch right here, so you want to slide that and then slide that in place. And then I'm going to close the pen back just like this. Now, I'm going to kind of lift up the sides of my piece here, and I'm going to put my E6000 glue on this side. Then I'm going to flip this around, and the same thing, I'm going to put a layer of E6000 glue. Now I want to make sure I get a good bit of glue right there where the foundation meets the pen and the Ultra Suede. And I'm going to press all this down. And I'm going to just double check to make sure I've got a good amount of glue right there. Again, where the pen and the foundation and the Ultra Suede all meet. Now, you want to pinch, press this all together. And then you can either go ahead and let this dry completely, or you can let it dry for a little while and then trim the foundation out to match, or trim the Ultra Suede to match what you have here. Okay, so I have the Ultra Suede trimmed to match my foundation, and I'm ready to begin adding some 15s around the edges. So what we'll actually be doing is here where I've added the lime green on the edge, that is what we're going to be doing. We are going to be taking and pretty much connecting the Ultra Suede and the foundation so that they can't open up. So you can see here where I put the red all the way around, and then in this one, same thing. You can see the red all the way around. So that is the next step. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is thread your needle with a new piece of thread, and I have put a knot in the very end of my thread and have trimmed the tail. So I'm going to take, and on one end of my piece, see, I'm going to separate the layers, and I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come up through just the foundation so that when I pull it, and I lay this down here, you can see that the Ultra Suede and the foundation hide the knots. Now, I decided I wanted to try to use a size 11 delicate because I wanted to throw another color in on this pendant. So that's what I'm going to do. My thread is coming out right here, so I'm going to come right next to where that thread is coming out. I've got my two beads on there, and I'm going to go through the foundation, and then I'm going to go up through the second bead added, which is going to be this green one here. And for right now, this is going to sit a little wonky, a little sideways, and that's completely okay. We're going to fix that when we get back around. So now I'll pick up another bead. I'm going to go through both the foundation and the Ultra Suede, and I'm going to go through it right there next to where I just added the beads. And then go up through the bead that I just added. Again, we pick up one bead, go through both the foundation and the Ultra Suede, just like this, pull it through, and go through the bead just added. So you're going to work around the whole piece. We're going to put in one bead at a time, going through both the Ultra Suede and the foundation. and then going through the bead that we just added. Okay, once you've gone all the way around the outer edge, this is what your piece will look like. So I'm back to the beginning here, and I want to make sure that I don't overcrowd this space that I've got here. So I want to check it by going down through the first bead I added, and I'll kind of pull my thread like this, and I can see a pretty large gap there, so I do need to put one more bead in before I put the two sides together. So I'm going to go ahead and put that bead in, and now it should be a good fit. Let's try it. Okay, so go down through the first bead that I added and up through the last bead that I added, and there we go. That is connected now. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, just because this very first bead is not connected to the foundation, I'm going to go down through it, and then I'm going to go through both layers here. So I'm going through the foundation and the Ultra Suede. And then, let me get that little knot out there. Then I'm going to go up through that bead one more time. That will just connect all of the beads there on the foundation, and it will be ready to go. So now I have to tie the thread off. So to tie the thread off, I'm going to go under the thread bridge between two of my beads. So this is just the thread that connects these beads. Pull the thread, leave myself a little loop, stick the needle through the loop and pull. Then I'll go down through a bead and up through the very next bead there. Pull that through. I normally put about 3 knots in here. But you know, if you just do 1 or 2 and you're happy with that, then that's fine, no worries. Okay, now when I go down through this next bead, I'm going to try to push down through that Ultra Suede a little bit so that I can kind of come out in the middle of that Ultra Suede. There we go, sorry guys. Just like that. And now I will trim it so that way you don't see where the thread ended. So here is my little Halloween brooch that I have made. You can see it was a pretty simple process to make the brooch itself. If you did not want to make that into the Halloween piece, remember you could make it into a pendant by just flipping it around this way. And I added a loop and a bead here at the bottom. And then these were the other colors there of some of the pins. So you can see it has a lot of possibilities and is a lot of fun. So guys, I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this new holiday retro brooch. We do have all the supplies that you need for this project on our website at offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. And the glass ovals, we have 2 different size ovals, I believe, a rectangle size. We have a couple of different ones. They can be found on our website under the craft supplies section. It has its own little section, and you can find all of those under there. So guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again next time. Bye bye.